Good evening. This is Ann Sellers. Welcome to Cindy Dennis Ministries. We are continuing our subject, our month-long subject on adoption and foster care awareness. Our theme for this month is Hear the Voice of the Child. And we've had some interesting guests on this month. We first talked to a mother and an advocate, and we said, of course, if we cannot adopt, if we cannot foster, we can advocate. So we talked to a mother who is actively involved in that. Second week, we talked to a young lady who is setting up a program so that she'll be able to help those who are actually aging out of the foster care system. We put some information up on our website, and we would ask you that she has a current project that she's working on. We'd ask that you would join in and help her with that project. You can go to hardeman'sdynasty.com and be able to sharing with that project. And or else you can get back with us at Cindy Dennis Ministries .org and be able to ask questions if you like, or if you want to make a contribution. If you cannot reach her, you can certainly reach us and we'll be able to pass that information on. So tonight we're excited about this young lady. We have our guest tonight is Tanya Macer. And she is a dynamic young woman who has actually been through the foster care and adoption system and back into the foster care system again. She's going to kind of tell us her story. She is featured this month in the October issue of Scars of Survivors magazine. And we're going to let her tell her story, not that we come tonight looking from a novel point of view, but we come because we are interested in learning how we can better help those who are going through the system. And Tanya can tell us where we have failed. So, because sometimes if we've not been involved in the process, we have a tendency to do what we think is best, and it might always be the best thing. So Tanya can give us some insight, and I just say to you to just sit and listen to her story. So Tanya, welcome, welcome, welcome. I know this has been a journey for us to get together, and thank you so much. I appreciate you pressing forward, even though you've had some personal issues this week, and we certainly have been praying for you in those issues. And so I'm excited. So you got the show. You go ahead and tell us what you want us to know.
Oh, well, thank you so much for letting me be a voice, and hopefully being also an inspiration to somebody that is, aging out or has gone through, the process and just needs a little uplifting message. And I will say this, anybody that can support Harden Dynasty, they're also my client too, as well. And I really believe in their cause and what they're doing. So I'm excited about what they're doing in the month of October, and it's just going to continue on. It's a wonderful organization to support those aging out of the system. Um, a little bit about myself. I'm second generation of foster care. My mother originally was in foster care, and unfortunately, she did pass away giving birth to me. So I automatically went into foster care as well. I was in a lot of different homes up until I was about maybe like 4 or so. I remember being shifted around a lot, even at that young age. And I was eventually adopted by one of the foster care homes that I was in. It just was not a very positive, healthy environment. And at 15, I knew that this is not what God wanted for his child, and I left. And then I was put back into the system again, and was bounced around from shelters to group homes. And then I was put in a program which is called independent living, which sometimes foster children will go through. And then I was aged out of the system. But my first apartment was before I was 17, and I had been bounced around a lot from the time leaving at 15 to 17. And I remember being aged out at at 21, actually at a little bit at like 20 because I got pregnant. And so literally it's one of those situations where one day you have support of an organization and the next you don't. And a lot of times you're not given the life skills to make it. It's almost like your whole world is blown up and you just don't know what to do because literally you have a place to live and the next month you don't. So it a lot of people don't understand it. It is literally that it goes from you might be in a foster home or in a group home, and then once you're aged out, you're asked to leave.
Okay. Okay. Can you give us a little bit more details? I know you said that you're 15, you left the system and you went on your own. And I guess you went into
Um,
independent living then. So may I ask what caused you? What was, in order, I think, for us to help you, if you would give us a little bit more details about what really went on and what you were going through, and can you do that? I don't, yeah.
yeah, that's not a problem. So up until the age of 4, I was bounced around from one foster home to another. Unfortunately, I was physically abused, and unfortunately, even at the age of 4, I'd been sexually abused. I was then placed with the foster care family that ended up adopting me. But they were very good on the outside, but on the inside, behind closed doors, I was physically abused severely. Almost every single day, and also mentally, and then I was sexually abused from it never stopped. Basically, what I came from a very bad abusive foster care home, placed in theirs, hoping that I would be in a safe environment, but instead that wasn't the case at all. And then at 15, I just said I'd had enough. I was tired. I was tired of the physical abuse. I was tired of the sexual abuse, and I knew that this is not what God intended for me as a child of God, and that there had to be um, a better life. So I initially knew that if I ran away for 24 hours, that they had to help me. It's a requirement if a child or a teenager leaves and they're runaway, you have to help them. Unfortunately for me, because the family I was with was very influential within the foster care arena and was very well known for, prior to me, they had about 200 foster care children. After I was placed with them, they stopped. And so for me, it was very hard to get help. Nobody wanted to believe that the family I was with, that the police captain was doing this to me. He was a police captain, and the foster care mother who became my adopted mother, who was an advocate for foster care, was physically, abusing me every day. They just automatically assumed I was a troubled youth, which was never the case. I never drank. I never skipped school. I went to private school. I was raised in the church, and that is what kept me with hope, because I was everything that I went through. It is, thank goodness, I was taught about God's love, and that this was not what was intended for me. So I was blessed in that aspect, even though I was going through so much abuse. I knew it wasn't right. And I knew that God did not, this was not the life that my mom or God wanted. So I did run away. I called after 24 hours. I was actually then picked up, and they put me in jail to teach me a lesson, thinking I would go back to the family. And I refused to go back. I didn't want to go back. And I really fought hard to get help. They initially did not want to, help me. They just wanted me to go back. And I fought really hard to get help. And it was really hard for me because nobody wanted to believe me,
Yeah.
because of the family was so influential. And eventually they unadopted me. Um, and I was, put back um, into the system. So from there, I just was bounced around from emergency shelter. I would stay for a little bit of time, then they would move me from one shelter to another. And from one school system, to another, and until I went to a shelter in Baltimore City, Jane Edgington, and from I went there and lived for about almost 7 months, and then after that, I was put into the independent living program, and I got my first apartment, um, and it was a shell shock for me. Everything was a shell shock for me. It was literally like waking up one day and your whole entire world was completely blown up. One minute I had aunts and uncles and cousins, and the minute that I told, I lost everybody, all over again. Um, so it was hard because I lost everybody.
Well, I wished I could give you a hug at this point. If I was close to you, I'd give you a hug, but you did not lose God. You did lose Jesus, and He was with you all the time. And I'm grateful that He did, that He kept you. Um, uh, I don't want to, cause asking questions that's going to cause, bring back up memories and bring back bad memories. But tell me a little bit about the independent program then, so we can.
Mhm. So the independent living program that I went through, basically I was blessed. There are some that are aged out in the system and aren't put into the independent living. They're just aged out, and you have to find your way. Um, I was a very resourceful, woman, young lady. I was very resourceful, and I knew I had rights because, again, the family that I lived in, I was around social workers and politicians, and I knew that there were services out there. So I was a little bit blessed more than some that are aged now and don't know that there are any services, out there. I went to the independent living program. I did not have any support far as like social workers that followed up with me or taught me about banking or management. When you're in group homes, and this is one of the things I talked to my client, Hardin Dynasty, to Tawana about, you're not taught about life skills. Those that are in foster care are not taught about life skills. You're taught about survival day to day, and you're always in survival mode. But the long term, how to become a successful young adult that's responsible enough to pay the rent on time and balance a checkbook, and just keep a job and know that more than likely a minimum wage is not going to be able to sustain an apartment. That's not what you're taught in group homes. When the group homes that I were put into, I was told I would have a chore for cooking for like 3 days a week, and I didn't know how to cook. You know,
Okay. That's
I
it.
didn't know, I didn't know how to, wash clothes, and, we were just told, that's what you had to do. And that's why Hardin Dynasties, I think, so important, because their organization is really trying to help those before they're aged out. Um, and give them those life skills and those support. And I didn't, have that. And other people that went through group homes, and I was sent to boarding schools. I was bounced all over the place. And that was that was the punishment, because I would not go back to that abusive family. So I didn't get, a lot of help. They sent me to a boarding school, Good Shepherd, which is for troubled youth. I wasn't troubled, I was abused. Um, so
Yeah.
there was nothing troubling about me. It was, it was that I was abused.
Oh, okay, okay. And yes, and we're putting in a plug for Hardeman's because they need financial support, but they also need volunteers, and they have these courses that Tanya is talking about. They want people to come in and teach courses on budgeting and just life skills. How do you manage once you are on your own? Because sometimes, as I said, we will go on what we who have had some different backgrounds, we were taught certain things, and our parents taught us those things. And so when you don't have that element, then somebody has to teach. And that's what we're saying. This awareness month is that we're not just doing this because we want to get the information out, but we also want some results. We want you to consider volunteer, and those of you who've got those skills and work in those different agencies and positions where you can come in and volunteer and hold these classes and work with these young ladies. They need mentors. And so we need to, I am going to volunteer and to help financially, and I will volunteer my services, my time as well, so that we can be able to help. I guess one question I wanted to know, and this is going out to the community, because St. Dennis Ministries is a nonprofit that empowers women, but we work also we work in Alexandria, Virginia area, and we're a community activity, and we often are looking for ways that we can help. So how could the community have helped you when you were going through your times? What could the community have done? The church, what could they have done to help you not to have such a difficult journey through the system?
Well, I think that, that question is kind of hard for me in a way to answer, because when you're going through it, you don't really know what community is out there to help you, because you feel so alone. And your world is basically a social worker that might have hundreds of cases, and they're not really concerned. You're just, honestly, you're just a number. So one of the ways that, I think that will help all youth, and that, could have helped me more, was just the support to know that I'm not alone, that my life does matter, that I can change the cycle, which I did. I was a single parent, but I raised my sons. I have a 13-year-old still, but I have a 26 and 28-year-old sons. I have all boys, and so for me, just that support of knowing you're not alone, and there are organizations that, almost like adopting a family, that are willing to support a child, or support uh, a school, or that might have foster children in there. If I had some kind of positive adult role model, that would have gone a long way. I didn't have any positive adult role models, because all I was taught was adults abused me. I am a survivor of multiple abuse growing up. It wasn't just and they are not worthy of mine to be called adoptive parents. So I call them foster parents, because they unadopted me. When I told. So when I say that, I could, they're foster parents to me. But I was taught. I didn't know that there were. All I knew was foster care was abuse, and there are so many children that go through foster care that are abused, and they don't know of anybody that they can talk to, and they're afraid to talk to really the social workers, in a way, because if you talk and you tell, you're just going to be bounced around from one to another. So I think if there was a way to help somebody that is going through foster care, I think the biggest way is to let them know they're not alone, and to give them positive affirmations that their life does matter. And like I said, for me, I was very blessed that I knew that God loved me, and I
Mhm.
knew this wasn't normal. But there is so many children children that are not, taught that. They might not have gone to church, and so that would be a way to, help an adolescent going through it, to know that you can find positive support in church or through nonprofits. There are people that care about you in your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And unfortunately, I don't want us to leave the impression the whole foster care system is bad and the whole adoption system is bad. Unfortunately, um, these kinds of things happen. So didn't you know? So after you got out of the independent, so what are you doing now? Tell us about what you're doing now, because it's hard to keep up with you, hard to find you. You were so busy. So tell us what you're doing now.
So I originally, I was very blessed to become a business owner, a co-owner for like 15 years in Baltimore as a catering company. And then I did that for about 15 years, almost a total of actually 18 between two companies. And then I currently, for the last 11 years, I switched to corporate America. So I'm a salesperson. I sell merchant accounts. So um, for-profit, nonprofit, churches, anybody that accepts credit card payments, or not just credit card payments, but like checks, ACH. I sell those accounts. So that's what I do. I support other businesses. Some of my clients are like Habitat for Humanity, Goodwill, Chambers. I have a lot of women-owned clients and minority-owned clients under my portfolio. I love working with new business owners, especially young adults, and just helping them and mentoring them. I do have a very special heart for all nonprofits. And I feel like I'm very blessed to have a lot of nonprofits under my portfolio. And that's always a way to give back for me. And so basically, that's what I do. I'm a salesperson. And when my children were younger, I was actually represented Maryland, and President Clinton invited me to the White House, and I represented Maryland for two bills that passed. One was welfare reform and earned income credit. So I was able to get that increased a lot, and then also so that mothers that are working don't lose their medical insurance. I'm a severe asthmatic, and I met at the time Governor Glendening, and he was inspired by my story. And then next thing I know, I met Senator Barbara Mikulski, and then next thing I was at the White House telling my story. So yeah, so whenever I look back and I look at what I've been through, I realize I am very blessed, that I made it. But I know, a lot of females that went through like the group homes with me, that weren't as successful, and some I know are very successful and have other nonprofits like me. So I know both sides of the fence. So it's not all bad, like you said, with foster care. But I think there is a very big gap that needs to be filled, um, in my opinion, by nonprofits and also by churches. I think when those other organizations step up and try to help, not just the government, if you will, but try to help those youth, because they are the future. I think so much can be done. I'm a firm believer of that.
What kind of gaps? There are some gaps that are exist. What kind of things that can be done that are not being done?
Um, just financial literacy. That's a very big one. I was told to go get get a bank account, but I didn't understand what that, meant. I didn't understand about getting a license. Those, because again, you might have a social worker that meets with you for 20, 30 minutes. And while they're meeting with you, they're juggling a million different other things that are going through their mind. And they generally probably do care about you, but they have so many, cases. So when you have organizations that teach those in foster care that are getting ready to age out about financial literacy and about resume writing and about interviewing and just how to carry yourself for the interview, or if in case you do get in trouble and need to go to court, how to present yourself and what services are out there. I think that is a very big gap that can be filled by other nonprofits and organizations. And then another one is just positive support. There's so many people that have mentors that they look up to. If we mentored more youth going through the system as they age out, that would be a gap that needs to be filled completely. And the only way to do that is by getting what you're doing, getting the story out there about one day, literally, you have a roof over your head. The next day, you're told to pack up, and you really do not know where you're going. It truly is that where you literally will leave that group home and not know where you're going to lay your head the next night. Because you're aged out, and you're not. It's nobody's responsibility to help you.
I understand that you can go into the independent program or that program at 16. Is that right? Is that the best time?
It's 16, 17, 18. Some go in at 18 because I was basically put back into the system. I was unadopted. I went into it early. But there's a lot of youth that are not, when they're aged out, they don't go into the independent living program, which can go up until you're 21.
Okay.
But a lot of people do not know about that. And they don't push, for those other services. And it really is about advocacy. Not only you have to advocate for yourself and your future, but, again, the system is overwhelmed. That's why when organizations like yourself and other ones step up, that's how you can help those, because not everybody's going to get into the independent living program.
Oh, okay. Tell us about the magazine. How did you get featured in this magazine? Tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you. Again, I think, it's all God. And that's the truth. I feel like it's just my season to really let those that have either gone through foster care or gone through abuse, to educate people. It's okay. You don't have to be ashamed. You can survive and make it. I made it. I have a lot of scars and tears, and I have good days and bad days, but I made it. And so there was somebody I met on Facebook, and we've been communicating for a year or so, and their organization, because October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, unfortunately, youth, you go from one type of abuse to another as an adult. It's sad, but it happens a lot. And so I'm a survivor of domestic violence. And they asked me to share my story in the month of October. I was married twice, unfortunately. I went through that with both of my husbands, two different ways, and I also went through mental abuse with my second husband and physical, but my first husband was physical abuse. And so in the magazine, I talk about incident that happened that was truly of survival, and that I made it. And it took almost 20 years to share that story. Not many people that are close to me know what I went through that night, except for maybe 3 people that were there for me the next day and was able to take me to the hospital. And so I share my story of survival, and that you can make it, and it's okay, you
Amen.
not to be ashamed. So that's how, I'm part of the magazine, for the month of October. I'm actually doing a next Thursday. I am doing a domestic violence awareness evening to celebrate survivors,
Okay.
um, at a new local client of mine, that's going to sign up with me. It's Stonehouse Winery. I'm in Hagerstown,
Oh,
Maryland.
Hager, yes,
Yeah,
Hagertown.
in Hagerstown. And
Almost to
so,
Ohio.
yes,
It's a
yes,
long,
just a little bit.
yes,
Yes,
it's
yes.
distance
I
away.
will definitely send you the pictures.
Yes,
But
please
yeah,
do.
um, and so I'm doing that from 6 to 8. They close at 6, and from 6 to 8, I'm just, I'm inviting, those to come out and just support. And not, you don't even have to have gone through domestic violence. It's really just like awareness and support, and also celebration of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
That's good.
celebrating life.
Amen. Well, we are, we all were uh aliens, or not aliens so much, but we all were foster care and children without a home, except Jesus. God adopted us into his family. It's the greatest family of all. And we come with full rights of sonship. We've got all the rights of all the, so that's the best part. And certainly it's the way for these young men and women to learn that, I understand you can be traumatized. You understand that you be, growing up and not having a family, and not having relatives, and not doing the normal things. And so it's hard sometimes for those of us who got, there were 11 of us, 11 children, and as I mentioned earlier, that so many, so that my grandmother raised some of us, and so in a
Oh, wow.
form, that's another way of adoption right there. But I thank
Mhm.
God for my grandparents. I thank God for my natural parents. We're very close. All of us were growing up together. I mean, we grew up together, my sisters and my brothers. And so we don't always understand. We don't always have a full point of reference for another life. And that's why I wanted to get this out there so people could understand. Because, we just think people, they leave foster care and they just go on with life. It's like, okay, now you're grown and you just go ahead with life. But sometimes we also have to deal with the emotions, that the traumatization that goes along with that. And so one of the things we're doing next week is we're going to bring Brenda Wright on. She has a nonprofit called Restore to Life, and that's what she takes people through to understand trauma that you've gone through, and through scriptures, and able to, because sometimes we don't even know, and that's the sad part about it, is that sometimes we don't know that we were traumatized. We don't realize it, and then there comes things of unloving feelings and low self-esteem, which can carry us through life and cause us to um find ourselves in the same situations over and over. Same situation by a different name, different color, whatever, but it's the same situation. So sometimes we have to stop and
That's
yeah,
exactly right.
yeah, we have to just stop and take a look at, where is that point of traumatization? Where do we first get stopped, and we never move from that point, so we can move on from that day on and live the full lives, that the abundant life that Christ called us to live. He wants us to live an abundant life that's whole, complete, and whole, and nothing lacking and nothing missing. So I have just I'm delighted that you came to share with us today. Tell the people how they can get in contact with you if they want more information, they want you to come and share with them, or they want just
Mhm.
to provide some support. Let us know where we can get in contact with you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. There's a couple ways that you can get in contact with me. On Facebook, you can find me as Tanya Clover, because of course I sell clovers.
Okay.
So you can find me that way, or you can reach out to me, by just calling or texting. And the best way, and because I'm surgically attached to my cell phone all the time,
Mhm.
you can reach me at 240 6242.
Mhm.
Or you can also email me, and the best email would be Tanya, which is Tanya, Tanya, W like work, F like from, H like home,
Okay.
um, 2019 at Gmail.
Okay.
And that, would be the best way, to reach me as well. And actually, another way is, my clients can usually get me all the time. And Hardin Dynasty is one of my clients. I love all my clients, but especially my nonprofits. I have a
Wonderful.
special heart for.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us, Facebook family. We want to give an applaud to Tanya for joining us and for sharing her heart with us. We're so excited. We're so excited about the progress God is making in her life. And so we're going to get that information about how to contact her up on our website, and so that you'll be able to, if you want to, share in this, you want to hear more about what you can do. I hope you've been inspired to do something. Remember, we talked last week about pity makes you feel sorry. Compassion and passion makes you move, makes you do something. And so I hope that you're being inspired to not only just listen to these stories that we're sharing with you, get this information and tuck it away nice and neatly. I hope you're being inspired to help, to do something. And as I said, we are always available if you want to get further information. Email us at info@CindyDennis No, I'm sorry, CindyDennis.org. That's info@CindyDennis.org. Okay. And you can reach me by doing ann.sellers@CindyDennis.org. So we're looking forward to you joining us again next week as we finish up, we wrap up the series. Now, I do know that November is Adoption and Foster Care Month, Awareness Month, and nationally observed. So continue on with the process. We've just introduced some things to you. We presented some statistics, but as we said, even here locally, we're in Fairfax County, there are 200 young people in the foster care system that are aging out and going to need some help. And we are partnering with Tawana Gay to, help her get that program started and everything. So join us, stay with us, don't go any place. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Tanya, for joining us tonight. And we are signing off. We'll see you next Monday. God bless.
Oh, God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. I hope I'm finished.